Okay. So welcome students to this session wherein we are studying regarding modern surveying instruments, right? So we have covered a few parts in the previous session regarding electromagnetic spectrum, properties of electromagnetic waves, and a few other things. So today we shall get into this topic of electronic distance measurement. Okay, what is that is a short form we use as EDM. Okay, wherein we use electronic methods to measure the distances, right? Not any angles, but specifically the distances we measure using electronic measurements or electronic devices, right? So these electronic devices use electromagnetic waves, which we have explained or we have learned in the previous class. Okay, so a few electronic these measurement method I've explained in the previous class. Okay, so coming to modulation, wherein this modulation is used in your electronic distance measuring instruments. So what is meant by modulation? Modulation is nothing but superimposition of one wave on another, meaning we mix two different waves, we mix with each other, and that particular mixture of waves we use in electronic distance measuring instrument. Okay, so modulation is superimposition of two or more waves on each other. Okay, so in this modulation, we have two types. We have amplitude modulation and we have frequency modulation. Okay, so in amplitude, this amplitude modulation we use for visible and infrared type of instruments. Okay, instruments which use visible light and which use infrared rays. Right, these two types of instrument use this kind of method of modulation, that is amplitude modulation. Whereas this instruments which use microwaves, right? Some instruments use microwave. These instruments use frequency modulation. Okay, so keep this in mind. We have two types, amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. Okay, so coming to amplitude and frequency modulation, let me show you an animation which will give you a clear idea regarding this modulation. Okay, so we have one signal which is shown over here. You can see we have a signal, right? And this signal, you can see it is a single wave, right? Single wave having a constant amplitude, right? Amplitude is the height of the wave, and frequency is, you know, it is the wavelength, right? Frequency is measured in hertz, right? And you can see here we have amplitude modulation shown in the second figure, right? Wherein you can see the height of the wave is constantly changing. It is increasing, then again decreasing, increasing and then decreasing, right? So that is amplitude modulation, wherein the signal is mixed with a carrier signal. Right here you can see this is the modulator. The first blue color wave you see is the modulator, right? And the second wave you see is the carrier wave, right, which carries. And these two modulator and the carrier waves are mixed together, or they are superimposed on each other, right? And if you want amplitude modulation, you can see the amplitude is varied, right? Hence it is amplitude modulation, right? The frequency is constant. You can see the spacing between two waves is constant, right? But the height of the wave goes on changing. So this is amplitude modulation. And in the last figure, the bottommost wave, you can see the amplitude is constant, the height of the wave is constant, right? But the frequency is changing, right? Hence it is frequency modulation. You can see we have we have loosely packed waves, and then we have dense waves, right? The frequency is increasing and again decreasing. Frequency goes on changing, right? So this is the difference between amplitude modulation and frequency modulation, right? One more animation showing the same difference between amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. So I hope modulation part is clear, what is meant by modulation and the different kinds of modulation. So can you let me know whether you have understood this modulation part? Yes or no? Okay, so I'll take that as a yes. Coming to the next part. Coming to types of electronic distance measuring instruments, we have different types, right? Different types based on the waves or the type of carrier wave that is used. right? So here we have classified them into three types, three major types, that is microwave instrument, infrared wave instruments, and then light wave instruments, right? So microwave instruments wherein it uses microwaves as the carrier wave. Infrared instrument, it uses IR waves, that is infrared waves as the carrier wave. And then here we have light wave, wherein it uses light waves to carry the signal, right? So the major we have classified it into three types. I have microwave instruments, infrared instruments, and light wave instruments. Okay, coming to a few other details regarding these instruments, right? We have made a table for simpler understanding. Here you can see the first column shows us the instrument or the carrier wave that is used. Okay, so we have microwave as the first one. Second, we have visible light, and then the third one is the IR or the infrared, right? Then coming to the range of these instruments, coming to the range, you can see microwave is not, it is a long range instrument, right? It is long range instrument wherein it will go to a distance of 100 kilometers, right? It has a range of 100 kilometers. Whereas you can see visible light is a medium range instrument. It covers up to a distance of 25 kilometers. Similarly, infrared is short. It covers hardly 2 to 5 kilometers. Right. So this is the range in distance, range or distance in kilometers of these instruments. Right. So this is basically a property of the wavelength. Right. It is property of the wavelength. If the wavelength is large, right, so it can cover larger distance. Okay, coming to modulation, as I've told you, we have two types of modulation, and microwave comes under frequency or uses frequency modulation. Visible light and infrared instrument use amplitude modulation. Okay, so remember these differences. Coming to frequency, the frequency at which they work, right? At the instruments, the frequency at which they work. So microwave works at 3 to 30 gigahertz, right? And then visible light works at 5 into 10 power 4 hertz. And infrared, you can see it works at 3 into 10 power 14. So the frequency is very high in infrared. You can see it is 10 power 14, right? And then in visible light, it is a medium, whereas a microwave uses smaller frequency, right? Hence, it can cover larger distance. Okay, so it is inversely proportional to the distance or the range. Remember. Okay, coming to a few examples of these instruments, microwave instrument or microwave carrier wave is used in telerimeter, right? So you have to remember these instruments. I've shown you a telerimeter, and visible light is used in geodemeter, and infrared is used in distomats. Okay, infrared and this microwave are also used in total station. Okay, infrared and microwave both are used in a total station. Okay, so I hope this table is clear. It will help you to write answer in your examination, wherein they ask you to differentiate and to explain the different kind of or the types of instruments. Okay, so you can use this table and write down in detail. Okay, so this table will help you to understand clearly the type of instruments. Okay, so I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, if you want me to explain any of the part, you can ask. Okay, moving on, heading on to the next part. Very important, total station, right? So total station, we have learned regarding total station in your previous semester also. Okay, so I hope you remember a few things from that class. Okay, so can anyone tell me whether anyone knows how to use a total station? Has anyone used a total station before or worked on a total station before? Anyone knows how to operate a total station? In your practical or anywhere else, have you learned in your project? No? Okay. So you can see here, this is the main main total station part. This is nothing but the tripod, okay, stand of your total station. Okay, and this part you can see here is the reflector with a stand, okay, reflector with a pole. Okay, it also comes with a tripod stand. If you want, you can set it at a single place. If you are a single person, right, you can set it out and then come here and take the reading. Okay, total station, this is the reflector. You can see we have a reflector here. Okay, and this part you will give out the wave, right? It will give out the IR wave or the microwave, and that will be reflected back by this reflector, right? And the phase difference, that is between the wave that is sent and the wave that is received. The phase difference is measured, and then that is converted to wavelength, and then wavelength is used to measure the distance. Okay, so this is a very modern instrument, a very advanced one, total station. So can you tell me what is a total station? Total station, it is a combination of what? It is a combination of two type of instruments. It is a combination of two types of instrument. What is it, if you remember? Total station. It is not just a electronic distance measurement. It is a combination of that. EDM. So EDM is the second part. Electronic distance meter or measurement instrument is the second part of this total station. But what is the first major part? Okay, it is not just an electronic distance measurement. It is combination of this. Okay, if you remember, I told you it is electronical theodolite, right? Electronic theodolite plus electronic distance measurement instrument, right? It is a combination of these two. Right, it is nothing but a theodolite, right? It is just a theodolite, but it is an electronic one, right? And it has the capabilities of measuring distances and also angles, right? So it is a combination of these both of these. Okay, so remember this, very important. Okay, so wherever you place this target staff, right? The place where you place this staff or this reflector, the place where you position it, right? The ground position. Suppose this is the ground and this coordinates are achieved. Okay, wherever you take the readings of this target staff, right? At that location, the ground coordinates are got. Ground coordinates in the sense x, y, and z. Right, the coordinates are achieved, and also the slope distance. I will come to slope distance later. Slope distance, and then horizontal angle, and also the vertical angle, or also called as the zenith angle. So all these are measured and all automatically stored in the total station of this ground point. Okay, of this particular point. Okay. So coming to a few other details regarding total station, you can see this is the handle part wherein that is used to carry the total station around. Then collimator, which is used for approximate bisection. Then we have this particular telescope, which is as same as the theodolite, right? It can be transited 360 degrees. Then we have these eyepiece, right, which we use to look through the telescope. Okay, then this is the keyboard which is used to make the various recordings, right? And then this is the vertical motion screw, that is the vertical clamping screw, which we also have in the theodolite. Similarly, we have a horizontal clamping screw over here. Okay, and these are the leveling screws. Similarly, as we have in the theodolite, 3 leveling screws are present, 3-foot screws. Okay, and this display you have here, which shows you various other details and the keypad. So these are the various parts of a theodolite, a total station. Okay, and here you see is a reflector, right? And this reflector is usually mounted on a pole, right? It is mounted on a pole, and the ground coordinates of where you place that particular pole is achieved. Okay, so not of this particular reflector, it is of the ground. Okay, so this is these are the basic parts. Okay, not in detail, just the basic parts of a total station. Very similar to a theodolite, right? Theodolite. Only this operation or whatever you operate on the keyboard is different, but the remaining things, the vertical motion screw, horizontal screw, foot screws, right? The telescope, all these things are very similar to the to your theodolite. Okay, so I hope you have understood the various parts of a electronic, total station. Right? Very important if anyone wants to become a surveyor in the future. Okay. Coming to how this particular total station works, right? So this particular total station has a microprocessor inside it, right? It has a microprocessor chip inside it that handles, right? It handles all the things, right? That handles all the things. It will take care of the recording, right? Whatever readings it will take care of the recordings that you do, and also some computations or calculations that are to be done, right? It will not just measure all the distances, it will measure the angles, it will measure the horizontal, the zenith angle, and the slope distance. From these values, it will calculate the horizontal distance, the vertical distance, and the height of the object. All these things it will calculate. So those calculations are done by the microprocessor. Okay, so the recording, reading, and the computations are done by the microprocessor. Okay, so this particular total station also has internal storage, just like your mobile phone. It will have some internal storage. Suppose it will have some model will have some 10,000 recording capability. Okay, it will record or it will store 10,000 values or 10,000 readings. That way varies come from company to company and, and model to model. Okay, so it has some internal storage, and you have some this thing also to transfer those readings, right, to your computer or to your laptops, right? It has cables given along with it. You can attach one to your laptop and attach the other cable to the total station, and you can transfer these particular readings that you have taken, right? So that the provision is given. Also, you can attach a pen drive in some modern total stations. A pen drive can also be attached, and your data can be transferred to the pen drive, right? So this particular instrument is very useful and very easy to use, right? That data can directly be transferred to AutoCAD, and the plot can be easily got. Okay, so these are a few advantages. Then coming to how this particular total station works, right? Here you can see this person is holding the target staff or the reflector, and you can see the total station is placed ideally over here, right? So the coordinates of this particular ground point are recorded in this total station, right? It will be recorded and it will be displayed over here, right? This is the horizontal clamping screw. This is your telescope. Okay, so here you can see this particular staff, or this is a very advanced one, wherein when this particular person presses a button on the staff, this total station will automatically rotate, right? It will come in aligning, it will align itself here, and it will automatically take the reading and store it. So that the only one person is required to take the reading. Again, this person will head on to the second position over here. He will hold the reflector, and he will press the button, and automatically the total station will rotate, and it will align itself properly. It will bisect the reflector, take the reading, and store it, right? So these are very modern instruments, very advanced ones. Okay, so anyone knows the cost of this particular theodolite, the range of a total station? How much does it cost? Can anyone guess the cost of a total station? Yes. Can you try to guess the answer? 1 lakh. Nikhil is saying 1 lakh. Any other guesses? Okay, so the basic total station, okay, not this advanced one which you see, which will align itself automatically. A basic one wherein you have to operate, wherein we require 2 persons, okay, and so wherein you don't have much storage, right? A very basic one, right? So basic total station will cost you around 3 lakh to 4 lakh, right? So that is the cost of a total station. So it is relatively expensive instrument, right? So you have to be very careful, and you don't carelessly use a total station, right? So one interesting thing is, if you use this kind of theodolite, a total station, which is seen in a screen. So suppose this person is very far away, say 500, 800 meters away, and no one is at the instrument. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, if no one is attending at the total station, ಮಂದಿ ಬಂದು ಎಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. So in India, we do not usually use these kind of instruments, right? Because these instruments have a very large range, right? It can range up to 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, right? So if no one is attending at this particular total station, they'll simply take away your instrument, right? So many persons at the village don't even know this instrument. They feel that it is a camera, right? So very advanced instrument, very interesting and very nice to use. We also have these instruments in our department. We have two total stations. If you want, if you come to college, we can have a demo, right? So the working of this total station is a bit confusing in the beginning, right? You have to learn how to use this, right? We have to learn how to level, how to set the instrument first, then a few initial settings are to be done, and then how recordings are to be done. All those things we can learn. We can have a demo class, right? So our HOD sir is very expert in using the total station. You can also ask sir. Okay. So if we have offline, if we had offline classes, I would have shown you in the class, but in online class, you have to just learn it, learn in the using images. Okay, coming to a few other details, as I've told you, a total station is a combination of electronic theodolite and EDM. Okay, keep this in mind. Okay, it is not just an EDM, it is a combination of these two. Okay, so as I've told you, the coordinates of that particular ground where you hold your reflector are determined. Okay, coordinate not of the reflector of the ground, okay, that are recorded. Okay, various readings that can be attained from a theodolite. Okay, suppose you place it on a ground and you take a reading. So what all readings are attained are distances where distance from a theodolite from your distance from your total station. The distance, the horizontal distance, or maybe the vertical distance, right? So the vertical distance or the horizontal distance can be attained. Angles, in angles also we have vertical angle and we have horizontal angle that can be attained. Then the slope distance can be attained, slope distance SD, and then the coordinates, as I've told you, X, Y, and Z coordinates. So all these readings can be attained from a total station reading. Okay, along with this, we can also calculate areas, right? If you have an area to be covered, so you can place your reflector like this at the end positions, and you can measure the area, right? So area measurement can be done. If you want also, you can plot the contours, or contour measurement can also be done, right? So also if you want to set out, right, setting out can also be done. Suppose you have a plan with you for a single room, or say you have a plan of an entire building, right? So that plan can be imported in the total station. It can be imported, and that readings from the AutoCAD plan can be used to set out your column positions or your room positions, beam positions. All those positions can be set out in the field, okay, using the AutoCAD plan. So that can be also done. Setting out can also be done using a total station. Okay. Coming to the very important thing, the microprocessor, as I've told you, it will do the process of reading, recording, and also the computations that are required. Also, as I've told you, it also has some storage. Okay, so these are a few important things regarding total station. So if you want, if you have if you want to ask anything regarding total station, any extra information, if you want, you can ask. Or if you have any extra information you want to share, you can share with your friends. Okay. Continuing. Coming to fundamental measurements, how, what are the fundamental measurements that are done? Okay, so as I've told you, total station will not measure all these things, right? All these things it will not measure. It will measure a few of these. Among these, it will measure a few things, and the rest of the things will be calculated by the microprocessor. So the important distances or the measurements that are made are called the fundamental measurements. Okay, from these fundamental measurements, we can calculate the rest of the things. Okay, so coming to the fundamental measurements. Okay, so this is the ground position, and we have set our total station over here. Okay, this is the total station. We have set, we have leveled, all the things are done. Okay, so this is the plumb line or the vertical line or the truly vertical line or the plumb line. All right, this is the vertical line, and then this is the instrument north. Okay, instrument north, or what we can do is we take the magnetic north. Suppose this is the magnetic north. what we do, we look through this particular telescope and we set it such that it is exactly in line with the north. Okay, we set the instrument to north direction. That is also called as the instrument north. What we do after setting out, after leveling, we align the telescope in the direction of the magnetic north. Okay, so magnetic north can be aligned to, or else what we can do is, if you want, you have a plot like this, right? You have a plot, and suppose this is the magnetic north. This is the magnetic north, and you have set a total station over here. So instead of aligning to the magnetic north, what we can do is we can align at the plot north, right? This is the north of your plot. So what we can do is we can align at this north also, right? So if you want, you can align over here, or else we can align at any permanent point, right? If you have a permanent point, if a magnetic north you feel is not proper, right? If you don't have any compass with you, right? What can be done is you can align at any permanent point also, right? So why do we have to set it at this particular north or at any permanent point is, suppose an survey which you are doing is very large, right? It cannot be completed in a single day, right? So what you can do is you can come back on the second day, right? You have to take away your instrument. You cannot just leave it there overnight. So you have to remove your instrument, take it back, come back this next day, right? So you can mark the position where you have set. You can set it there and then align the instrument again using the same particular north, right? You can align it coming back on the second day using any permanent point or the magnetic north, right? So if the survey is taking many days, so that particular alignment is very useful, right? If you don't do that, then your entire measurement that you have done the previous day will be wasted, right? So this is very important. So this instrument north is to be marked. So now suppose, okay, so this is the side view, okay, this we are looking in the side view, okay, and then you have your reflector, okay, reflector which is placed over here. Okay, this is the ground and this point we need to find out coordinates of this point. Okay, so we have placed our reflector over here. So you take your measurement, you can see we have taken a measurement over here. This is the ray which is coming. Okay. Also, you take a second reading at the base of this particular reflector. Okay. So you can do measurements using the reflector or directly also, right? But if you use a reflector reading, it will be very accurate. You can also directly hit the target without using a reflector and take the measurement. That is also given in a, that provision is also given in a total station. But usually we go for a reflector because that is very accurate. Okay, so this particular reading are taken, okay, and these two lines are in the same vertical plane, okay, same vertical plane, right? And the angle, the horizontal angle, okay, horizontal angle from your instrument north, you can see I have marked over here. This is the horizontal angle. I'll mark it as HA, okay, horizontal angle from the instrument north. Okay, so this is not the vertical angle. Try to imagine it is not the vertical angle, it is the horizontal angle, okay, it is the horizontal angle. Then this is the vertical angle, right? Vertical angle you can see from the instrument from this particular direction, right? From the zenith or from the plumb line, this is the vertical angle, not the horizontal one. Okay, so I'll mark this as ZA, as this is the zenith angle. Okay, so these are the fundamental measurements that I am marking now. Okay, horizontal angle, zenith angle, along with this. Okay, so this is the vertical plane which I was talking about. Okay, this is the vertical plane, not the horizontal. Okay, so this is the vertical plane, and then coming to one more distance, that is the slope distance is measured. Okay, slope distance, which we usually mark as slope distance S or SD. Slope distance, that is the distance from here, from your total station to your reflector. This particular slope distance, slope, that is a inclined distance, not the horizontal distance. Okay, so these three are called the fundamental measurements: the horizontal angle, the zenith angle, and the slope distance. From these three fundamental measurements, we can calculate the horizontal distance, right? Horizontal distance, vertical distance, and also if you want, you can measure various other angles, right? The vertical angle and various other angles can also be measured. At this particular angle, vertical angle is here. Okay, horizontal distance is what? From here to here. This is the horizontal distance. Okay, and vertical distance is nothing but this particular height, vertical distance. Okay, suppose this is a building or any tower. So this will be the vertical distance or the vertical height of this particular tower. Okay, we can also calculate that from the fundamental measurements. Okay, so your basically your total station will do all these measurements, that is zenith angle, horizontal angle, and the slope distance. So these are the fundamental measurements. From these three, we can calculate the remaining things. Okay, so I hope these fundamental measurements are clear. Very important question from your exam point of view. Fundamental, they ask you to explain the fundamental measurements of a total station. Is it clear? No problem? Okay. So coming to one more important thing, coming to vertical angle. Okay, vertical angle. Horizontal, I have explained to you how you set your horizontal angle, right? First you set to instrument north, then you take the horizontal angle, this horizontal angle. Similarly, coming to vertical angle, right? Coming to vertical angle, this is the zenith angle ZA, okay? Zenith angle ZA, right? And then this is a line of sight. This is SD, that is the slope distance. Okay, horizontal distance, as I've told you, you can see here, this is the horizontal distance from here to here. Horizontal distance, okay, from here to here. This is your horizontal distance. HD can be calculated from your SD. SD sin ZA, SD sin ZA, you can use this formula to calculate your horizontal distance. Okay, so you can see using the zenith angle and your side distance, right? You can calculate your horizontal distance. Similarly, this vertical distance from here to here, vertical distance, right? So this can also be calculated using your zenith angle and your SD. You can see vertical distance VD is equal to SD cos ZA, SD cos ZA, right? So the VD can also be calculated, and also height of the reflector, RH, height of the reflector, that is from here to here, height of the reflector can also be calculated. If you want, it can be directly recorded from the pole, right? So the height of the reflector can be directly measured using your tape, right? So no need of any calculation for RH. Okay, so all these things are mentioned over here. You can read. Okay, all these things are mentioned. Whatever I have explained, those are mentioned over here. Okay, coming to a few other details regarding vertical angle, right? So in your total station, there is one thing called as vertical compensator, right? Vertical compensator, what it will do is, vertical compensator, it will take care of the small deviations, right? If you are not, if your instrument is not properly level, right, certain degree of tilt is there, right? If it is not proper, that deviation it will use in the calculation, and it will give you adjusting that particular tilt, right? So if there is any tilt, or if the instrument is not properly level, it will take care of that tilt in our calculation and give you an answer compensating that particular tilt. Okay, so that vertical compensator does this particular work. Okay, suppose your tilt or your instrument is very far out, it is not level, it is very much tilted, right? Small tilt it can manage, but if it is having large tilt, it is very far out, what your vertical compensator will do is, it will give you an error on your screen, right? Tilt error it will show. So what you have to do then, manually using the foot screws, you have to approximately level. Okay, approximately level, and the amount of a minor tilt, if it is there, it will be taken care by the vertical compensator. Okay, so coming to a few other things, if you ask me what kind of rays this particular total station uses, right? So it usually infrared. Okay, it usually uses infrared beam. It will shoot out infrared beam, and that is reflected by the reflector, and it will come back and it will be measured by the sensor. Okay, so the phase difference is used to measure the various fundamental measurements. Okay, so this is regarding total station. So if you have any doubts, if you want to ask anything regarding total station, you can ask. I hope you are understanding because nobody is replying. I am assuming that you are understanding. Fine, no problem. Because these are very important from your future point of view, right? Because you will be working on total stations later on. Right? Theodolite, dumpy level, all those are not used nowadays, right? Compasses, your other instruments which you are learning. Usually you will be working with total station. So make sure you understand how this total station works. Okay. So after total station, so the next topic that we have to learn, is regarding lidar or lidar, whatever you may call lidar or lidar. So it is nothing but light detection and ranging. How you have radar, right? Radar, you have heard about radar. Then similar to that radar, we have this lidar, wherein we use light. Okay, and we don't use infrared or microwave. We use light, right? We project out light or we throw light beam, and that is reflected back, and that particular light is captured by the sensor. It is detected by the by the sensor, and it is interpreted. Okay, so this is the basic idea of lidar. So let me show you an image of a lidar instrument. You can see this is a lidar instrument. Okay, so you just set it out, you level it, place it, and you set it on, you start it, and it will start taking measurements. Okay, it is not like a total station. It will automatically scan the entire area. It will go 360 degrees around. It will rotate, and it will take this reading, and it will give a photo like reading. Okay, you don't have to point it out to anything, and you don't have to press any button. Once you start this particular instrument, it will automatically rotate slowly in the 360 degrees, and it will scan the entire area, and it will give out an output. Okay, so this is a lidar instrument shown on your seen on your screen. Okay, coming to the working of a lidar. Okay, so as I've told you, it uses light to measure distances. Okay, so suppose it is pointing towards this car. So it uses light which bounces back from, it will throw out light, and that light will bounce back from the car, and that will be recorded by this particular sensor. Okay, the light which is thrown is reflected, and it is measured by the sensor. So that particular thing is converted to distances. Okay, so that is used to convert to distance. Okay, so specifically it uses green color of lasers, green colored spectrum lasers, green spectrum lasers it will use. Okay, it sends out what? It sends out multiple pulses of invisible green light. Okay, so this green light is not visible to your eyes. Okay, it will be nearly invisible. So if it is very dark, then you might see minor green color, but it is nearly invisible green light. Okay, so it gives out multiple pulses. Okay, it gives out in pulses, not continuous light, but it gives out pulses of multiple green light. Okay, so let me show you an animation. So you can see here, this is a lidar instrument, and this lidar is giving out light, and the object will reflect that particular light, and it is measured by the sensor. So this is the basic working of a lidar instrument. Okay, so it measures how long it takes the light to get back to the sensor, right? From the time it sends the light, and the time it takes to reflect back and reach the sensor is measured, right? And this is done, it does this thousands of times every minute. Okay, it does multiple times. Suppose it usually does this a couple of thousand times a minute, and it gives out a picture like image of the environment. Okay, it does not give a picture, right? Not a photograph. It gives out a picture like output of the surrounding environment. So I'll show that also. I'll also show you the output. You will get an idea of the lidar output, how it exactly gives. Okay, so it is also usually used nowadays in cars and aeroplanes. Okay, cars and aeroplanes, to detect any object if it is in front, or any obstructions, or any objects which are on the road, right? So it is used as a safety gadget. You might have heard regarding autopilot things, right? Autopilot cars and all, right? Wherein it uses this instrument to detect the surrounding, and to have an idea around the surroundings, and to drive through the traffic. right? So you can see our LiDAR instrument, which is over here. So you can see the operation, how it does. You can see it is scanning the entire the 360 degrees in vertical direction also, and it rotates also in the horizontal direction, right? So it completes this particular process in the entire 360 degrees, and it will give you the output of your entire room or the surrounding. Okay, you can see it is giving out a green color of light, a green color of laser. Okay, so here you can see an example of a LiDAR instrument. So in the first image, you might see it is giving out red color of light. It is giving out light beam, right? So that light beam reaches the object, and whatever light is reflected back by the object is again scanned by the sensor. It is recorded by the sensor. Okay, so whatever light is obstructed, right? Whatever light is obstructed or the shadow region is not captured by the LiDAR, right? It only captures like a photograph. The objects which are behind any object cannot be detected. Only the object or the surfaces which are visible, or the light which is reflected back is only captured. Okay, coming to another animation, you can see a simple animation over here. The top image shows a 3D or isometric view of the instrument. Okay, you can see we have a light beam which is coming out from the top, and a mirror which is helping it to go 360 degrees, or in the top image. In the second image, you can see a top view. In the second image or the middle image, you can see a top view of the instrument. And you can see a light beam which is scanning. Okay, and we have a cylindrical object which is placed in the right hand side. Okay, so when the light falls, you can see it traces out the boundary, it traces out the walls, right? So let it start. You can see it is starting, and in the bottom side, you can see it is tracing out as the light reaches. Okay, and once it reaches this particular cylindrical object, you can see it is tracing out the surface. Okay, and the behind part of the cylinder is not traced out. Okay, so it will trace out only whatever light is bounced back. So I hope you are understanding how this LiDAR works. It traces out and gives us the output. Okay, it gives us the output. The surface is only traced out. Okay, coming to an application in car, you can see a LiDAR is placed on top of this car. You can see a LiDAR is placed on top of this car, and it is taking reading 360 degrees, right? And as the car moves, you can see it is scanning the entire environment, and it is going through the traffic and the road, right? So it gives out live output. You can see the output which you see on a screen is the output from your LiDAR itself. You can see how it gives out a picture like image, right? Picture like output. It is not a photograph, it is like a photograph. Okay, so this is an application in car. Okay, an application in your transportation, but we are dealing with surveying, so we have to learn regarding how to use this LiDAR in your terrestrial survey, right? In your terrestrial survey. Okay, so this is another example wherein a LiDAR is placed on top of a car, and it is going on the road. It is traveling on the road. As you can see how the output of a LiDAR is. It can detect object and can help the car navigate through the traffic and navigate through the road. Right, so very interesting concept. Okay, moving on. So you can see in terrestrial survey, you can see an LiDAR is placed on an aircraft, you can see, and the light rays or the light beam is thrown downward onto the terrain. And that particular terrain will reflect back that light, and the light is captured by the sensor. Okay, and you can see it is generating a map like, a 3D map like kind of output. Okay, it is not a photograph, it is just a output. Okay, coming to one more image showing the same. You can see this is the side view wherein the light beam is being thrown and it is being reflected back. Okay, so this will give you a good idea of how the light detection and ranging is used in terrestrial photogrammetry. Right, you can see it can only trace out the top surfaces, right? You can see it will trace out only the top surface of the tree of the building, okay, and not the 3D image. You can see very clearly only it will trace out the top surface, right? So this is regarding light detection and ranging. A few basic things we have covered today regarding light detection. I've just given you an idea of how this particular technology is being used in terrestrial survey. Okay, a few other details we shall look into in the next class, okay, regarding this light detection and ranging LiDAR. Okay, so it is also used in planes, in cars, and also in your navigation in your water bodies, right? In your navy ships, right? Usually they go for sonar, but nowadays they are also using LiDAR technology. Okay. So in the next class, we shall cover light detection and ranging in detail. Okay. So after we cover light detection and ranging, the first part of your fifth module will be over. That is modern surveying instruments. Okay. So after LiDAR, we have to go into your second chapter, that is regarding remote sensing. Okay. Remote sensing we will be starting tomorrow. Okay. So I hope you have understood today's class, a few new things and interesting things you have learned. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Fine. So with this, I think we can end your session over here. You can give your attendance. And meanwhile, if anyone wants to ask anything, if you want to share anything, you can. Please let me know whether you have understood today's session. Okay, so I will stop the recording now.